Chair, thank you, Mr. Fraser. Good to see you. When I was a little boy in Timmins, my Irish granny used to call my Scottish granny, and we'd go uptown. And all the old mining widows would sit at the Woolworths, and the kids would go window shop. Nobody wants to go into the downtown anymore because we're hit with the triple crisis: mental health, opioid addiction, and homelessness. And the city is doing extraordinary work, but they're not equipped for this job. And so they rely on reaching home, and yet that's spread across Cochrane District, which is 144,000 square kilometers, over a dozen communities, numerous First Nations. So they are doing all this on $944,696 a year, and yet you've told them that they're going to get a 50% cut. So they're going to do all this on $465,000. Why would you walk away on Northern Ontario when this crisis is hitting us full force in the face?
Thanks very much, Mr. Angus. And as I've shared with you before, I'm familiar with the situation in Timmins. My sister is a resident and runs a business in town and has been trying to do her part to participate in community efforts to help address some of these circumstances. First of all, thank you to the service providers who are helping vulnerable people. And I have what I believe will be good news. It'll take a few months to sort out the final details at a community level. The reason that there was a drop in funding was not a cut to the program, but the exhaustion of the pandemic era increase that we saw through Reaching Home to help address short-term pressures. We've decided in the recent federal budget, should it pass, that we want to reestablish that higher level of funding. We expect in the months ahead to be able to notify communities of what that increased funding will mean at a local level, and given that you've reached out to my office, we'll be sure to provide you with an answer as quickly as we can as to what it means for the communities in your constituency.
Well, that'd be really important because Kenora District, 33.5% children live in poverty. That's staggering. They're facing cuts of over 50%. North Bay, DSAB, they've been trying to create this integrated homelessness hub, yet their funding is scheduled to drop 70% so that they would get by on $245,986. I mean, what are you going to buy with that? Nothing. So can I go back to Northern Ontario and tell our communities that they're not being left behind, that that funding is going to be bridged? Because they're being told right now to prepare for cuts, so they're having to make decisions now about walking away on programs that help the homeless.
So the specific amount for each community, if I had that information today, I would give you that information today. You'll see in the budget that there was a major top-up through Reaching Home. That will translate into an increase. The specific dollar amount I will get to you as soon as we have. We should also discuss the other opportunities through newly funded programs, including addressing encampments and challenges with homelessness over and above Reaching Home that are in the current federal budget. I'm glad that you're using your voice to actually draw attention to this problem, because it is a real problem. It's not fair that people in a country as wealthy as Canada go to bed without a roof over their head. I want to help. I can tell you that we're putting money behind that desire to help as well, and we're going to work with members across the country to help ensure community organizations in their regions are supported.
Well, I appreciate that, because you know what I see happening in my community in Timmins, I know it's as bad and worse in other northern communities, and the Northern Ontario's always learned if we don't stick together, we fall really hard. So one of the efforts was Thunder Bay Social Services Administration Board, and they have the highest opioid-related mortality rates in all the Ontario Public Health Unit region, 77.2 per 100,000. So they've reached out to work with Cochrane District. They've reached out to work with Kenora. So everybody's coming to the table to try and find solutions. And it's the one thing that's really inspiring in this crisis. They've asked to have the government recognize the work that they're doing through Reaching Home, because they're also taking the enormous pressure of Treaty 9 communities where we have, 18, 20 people living in three-bedroom homes. So Kenora, Thunder Bay, Cochrane District are under enormous pressure from the housing crisis that is 10,000 times worse up in Treaty 9. So they've been reaching out to Mushkegowuk, to Nan. So will the federal government be willing to sit with them and say, yeah, we recognize the larger Northern Ontario issue, because a single municipality just simply can't take this on?
Look, when communities come to understand that that they can care about one another as much as they do themselves, you're going to help more vulnerable people with that approach. If your request is that we make time, we will make time. If your request is to personally sit down with me to go over some of these details, I will make time.
It's on the record now, folks. Yeah. Charlie Angus just asked him to sit down and make time. You're all watching. You're all witnesses. We're going to sit down and we're going to make time.
I'll look forward to it immensely, Charlie.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Mr. Angus, you through? You have 50 seconds left. You finished?
I got my answer.
Okay.